Hey now, what's up, Dave?
What's up, Mr. Bennett? How you doing? Happy Halloween.
This isn't our usual stomping grounds here.
No, we're on NoSo, brother.
Yeah, we
This is not the 24-inch podcast.
stumbled into the dark side here.
Yeah, man, the dark
Yeah,
side and almost the dark side of Hulkamania as well,
yeah.
right at this period of time.
Rockin' Ryan, as you say, although he's more like folktale Ryan to me lately. He summoned us to talk about Fall Brawl 95, Dungeons of Doom versus the Hulkamaniacs, which I had never seen until 2 hours ago.
Okay.
And the significance, I guess, is it's one of the very last things that Hogan did in WCW before he was the third man.
Well, yes
What do you
and no.
remember about this time with Hulk? Let's just kind of, because we're in this for Hulk, right? We're the 24-inch podcast guys. I think Ryan gets us. He knows we're going to talk. I don't have a lot to say, to be honest, about Kevin Sullivan in this video, but I am interested in Hulk. You know better than me. What was he up to about this time? Regardless if this is the last act or not, certainly I can do the math and know that we're not very many months away from him being the third man. So
about 10 months away.
What's going on with him and what do you remember about this time? Because I know you were watching live, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is the very beginning of Nitro. Nitro had just started earlier that month, actually. And what this is kind of like the precursor to get to the Hogan Giant feud. The Giants just coming in.
Right.
And as we saw at the end of this match, it leads up to that big Halloween Havoc match and the dark side of Hulkamania and the monster truck. But I'd like to take it back and how the Dungeon of Doom formed with all these gimmicks and all these crazy, cartoonish type deals that we saw in this match.
Which, by the way, anytime you hear Eric Bischoff talk about starting Raw, he always talks about how, or starting Nitro, the WWF is cartoonish, so we're going to be real. This is cartoonish.
Yeah.
Bullshit as you've ever seen. Sounds like Bischoff is full of shit. But all right, go ahead. Tell me about the Dungeons of Doom.
Well, it started out was actually Hulk's second match against Flair was in '94, so a whole year before this. Hulk got hit in the knee with a masked man. They were copying the Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan situation, which was a bit hot in 1994. And it was supposed to be Kurt Hennig, but the contract didn't work out, so it ended up being Brother Brutus Beefcake. And, you know he's not going to take Hulk's belt, but they formed an alliance called the Three Faces of Fear with Kevin Sullivan and Avalanche, the former Earthquake. Hogan ended up taking care of them, and then there were some lawsuits over how Avalanche was too close to Earthquake. It was the same gimmick, just a different name. And then all of a sudden, Hogan got into a feud with Vader for a few months. And then all of a sudden, Kevin Sullivan's cutting these vignettes with the Wizard. Remember Kamala's manager for the King Curtis Iakea? Mm-hmm. And he's in it looks like the Snake Pit kind of. It's called the Dungeon of Doom. And each week they'd bring out a new guy. They'd bring out Earthquake. Now he's the Shark. Kamala came back. That made me happy. Haku was a Ming. He was already in WCW, but now he's part of this. One Man Gang eventually joins it. And finally, the lead, Sullivan's the leader, but the main muscle, the Giant. That's where we're getting to with that. And it's very cartoonish, but it's very what Hogan was used to, guys he trusted, Earthquake, Haku. These guys had his back, and they could kick some ass in real life, too, if that no good Arn Anderson or some of them trying to play politics behind Hulk's back, brother, it's not going to work for him. So, even though, you didn't think these guys were really going to topple Hogan besides the Giant, which he actually did at one point. Things were getting a little stale there, but I was still behind Hulk, still watching it every week. And what an A-list team here on this Fall Brawl. Hogan, Sting, Macho, and Luger. I mean, you ain't getting any better than that with A-list alpha
bullets there.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much if the Giant was on the other team, maybe be a little more even. I mean, you had Haku and the Shark, but it was, they're not the same anymore.
What is the Zodiac? I mean, I know it's Brute Eye, obviously, but what was the gimmick there?
Well, he played that in Mr. Nanny at the very beginning. That's where the costume came from.
Okay.
From Mr. Nanny, and it was just kind of like a yin yang type thing. Yes, no, just some silly.
I've seen that on
some
the
silly thing. Yeah. And they try to actually make it that he was a mole for Hogan for Dungeon of Doom before he became the Booty Man. That's when things really started getting a little, people at this time, if you watch this, you saw Hulk got a nice pop here. Everything still seemed pretty normal. It wasn't, it's very much exaggerated. The booze, he got a lot of booze when he started working every week on Nitro, and especially when he's in Charlotte or Atlanta, like those hotbed WCW towns. But it's far-fetched, the booing. But Hulk's not the type of guy to be on every week. So he started doing Nitros every week. So you got a little more of that. You got to hold him special, like we did with the Saturday Night's Main Events and the house shows in the WWF. But to get the ratings, it was a ratings war. You had to have him on there every week. The casuals were watching for him, and they were neck and neck with Raw before the NWO. But the marks in the building were some of the buildings were booing him and maybe not getting the exact kind of reaction that he was used to.
Well, this match here, obviously, it's part of Fall Brawl 95, and it's a War Games match. It's kind of the reason we're doing this. The current product is going to be having a War Games, I guess. So Ryan took the opportunity to rank. I think there's 25 of them all time. This one came in at number 20. To be honest, I'm surprised it's that high based on what I watched. It was, not good. We'll get into all that. But let's talk about War Games from our perspectives as more WWF guys, because this was very much a WCW thing. And, I watched during the late 80s, 86 to 90, I watched a little bit of the TBS show, 605 to 705. Then I watched the Braves game. I did that, and that's basically my history with WCW. And I would remember when they would promote these things and I would see the highlights, and it looked cool. This turned out to not. This is probably the first one I've ever watched. It was not cool. First of all, the format is so ridiculous. There was a coin flip in the match.
Right.
For some reason, the match is set up for the heels to be ahead by one every 2 minutes, which is really odd. There's only one fall in the match. It has to be a submission. And they really only did one submission hold the whole match. It's really poorly booked. Also, they make Hulk look really weak in the booking here.
Yeah, at the end, very much.
By him going in last.
Yeah.
It basically makes it look like, hey, no, you go in. I'm not going in there. No, you go in. No, you go in. No, you
they should have been holding him back or something, like a little
something. Like Hulk wants to get in there, and they're trying to be smart about it or anything. It's just like makes Hulk look like he's like, I'm not getting in there. We have a disadvantage. Go wear those guys out for me.
Yeah.
You would think the hero would want to be the first one in the ring. You know what I mean?
They just had Savage holding him back. We got a plan, brother, or something. Something like that.
I thought it was really, really poorly done. I thought a lot of the wrestling was really bad in this.
I thought Sting and Shark were pretty good. The first two in there.
They did have a really good 5 minutes. I thought that was the best part of the match. And I don't know. And you look at it on paper. I like all of these guys. I like Hogan, Savage, Luger, Sting, huge stars. Kamala was a favorite of mine. Brutus is Brutus. Cool to see Earthquake, and I love
what it is. It's hard that Earthquake's not Earthquake and Brutus isn't Brutus, and you know what I mean. And if they were them, if they had those names, it might be a little more believable. And so it's just tough with the Shark. It's like, come on, what I mean.
Was there anything specific you remember about the build that made this match essential to be a War Games? Did they build it in a way where, man, we could only settle this in the War Games?
Well, actually, it was supposed to be Vader on Hogan's team instead of Luger, and that's where that fight with Mr. Wonderful happened. Okay. Vader left the territory.
The scissors or whatever?
Excuse me?
Was that with the scissors?
No, that's Arn and Sid.
That's right.
Yeah, no, this was the one where Orndorff beat him up in the flip-flops, and Bobby Heenan sounded like old people giving an ovation like this. Yeah. And so Vader was out. They claimed he went AWOL. Then that's right as that was happening, Luger jumped ship, when he walked out on the first Nitro. So they were going to play the card, can Hogan and Vader trust each other? So now they played it, can Hogan and Luger trust each other? And the Giant had been showing up and stalking Hogan, and they were trying to say it was Andre's son and this, but the the Giant hadn't wrestled yet. Big Show, obviously. And he ran over Hulk's Harley at Bash at the Beach. And, there was heat leading up to it. But it was just that the four guys, it's just like, I mean, Earthquake and Haku are two of the greatest, but I mean, it's not Earthquake and Haku anymore. You know what I mean?
The Shark, yeah.
Yeah, and Ming actually kind of became more of a threat a few years later in WCW, actually.
I do want to give them credit for this. They do a good job of making it feel big. I think having Michael Buffer there, it adds an excitement to it. It made it feel like a big deal. I like the way they did the introductions. They were long and drawn out. I thought having Bobby on commentary was really familiar for me. Bobby, and I don't mind Tony is pretty good too. So I enjoyed the commentary. I thought Bobby was really good throughout the match, doing what he does best, hating Hogan. You know what I mean? I thought that was really good throughout. Like I said, I love the build. I love the way they built towards the match within the show. And then they announced a special stipulation where if Kamala and them don't win, Kevin Sullivan's going to have to be in the ring with Hulk alone.
Which makes no sense because Kevin Sullivan's another wrestler. It's not like he's a manager.
It's not like it's Jimmy Hart in the Weasel suit.
Yeah. It's like they could have a one-on-one match. Pretty much Sullivan wouldn't be a threat to Hogan, but he's still a wrestler. You know what I mean? It'd be like
Hogan he's in wrestling gear taking his ass whooping too.
Yeah.
They really use that as a way to set up as the picture on our screen shows up here with Hulk with some all-time bad awareness as somehow this 7-foot tall man was able to creep in behind him and totally, no awareness at all that he might be there. And
yeah, he got over a lot on Hogan. A lot of deals. They shaved his mustache on Nitro right after this, and it came to the dark side of Hulkamania where he wore the black. It was kind of like a test run of him turning heel, I think. And he actually fought Sting on the November, so that's about 2 months from here, edition of Nitro, and Hogan did get booed there when he fought Sting because he was in the black with no mustache. It just didn't look right. I mean, I wasn't booing him, but it was just like, dude, you need your mustache. Like he was auditioning to be Mr. Freeze in Batman Forever, I guess it was called. And obviously Arnold
was that Arnold?
Arnold Schwarzenegger got it. Obviously Hulk's not gonna get it over Arnold, but he was auditioning for that. So shaved the mustache on TV, make an angle out of it. And this is going. It was right. I was a little older. I'm never going to turn my back on Hogan, so I'm going to go wherever he goes. And now there's rumors I saw online today that no good piece of garbage Tony Khan's trying to get his hands on the Hulkster. I hope Hogan doesn't go in front of those marks in a million years. So that's going to be a problem there. But let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope he sticks with Vince and WWE for forever this time.
I think once Tony Khan said the things he said about Hulk.
Yeah, he said him about Flair too, and he was out there last week. So who knows? Money talks.
Yeah. Never say never in the wrestling business, right, brother?
Mm-hmm.
Dave and I do a show called the 24-inch Podcast that you can find on the Sportscaster feed on SoundCloud and iTunes and Spotify and all that. If you just search the Sportscasters, or you can even search 24-inch Podcast and it pops up as well. We probably are not going to cover Fall Brawl 95.
No.
We've done it.
No.
This is good enough.
Good. Yeah,
we got one coming up where we're going to be doing MSG. What was that, 89?
January 89 against the Boss Man, the rematch.
Yeah, and we've done, I don't know, what's one of your favorites?
Oh, my God. All of them. I like
Sheik ones.
2 Iron Sheik ones.
Tribute.
WrestleMania 18 against The Rock, we've done.
That's a good one,
WrestleMania 8, we've done. WrestleMania 2 was very much like kind of our proto show. I had like a book of notes. So I didn't do a podcast. It was my first ever podcast.
So this match is not finally rated, believe it or not. Cage Match, who I didn't even know did ratings, gave it a 2.8.
Okay.
Meltzer, you want to guess what he gave it?
Negative something stars.
1.25.
Well, that's a lot for him.
So not very highly rated. Again, it's number 20 in the countdown here, which to be fair, I don't think I'm going much higher or lower than what anyone else has said. Are you, Dave?
I'm not familiar. I only watched WCW when Hogan walked in the door until he walked out the door. So I don't know. I've never seen any of them that he wasn't a part of the shows.
That stepped like in your mind is like a gold standard, like one that you like a lot, or no?
Yes, the next year is really good. It's for the NWO, and that's where the fake Sting comes out, and people think it's the actual. They actually had me. They almost had me fooled, and it was a wrestler by the name of Cobra as fake NWO Sting. Then the real Sting came out at the end, and it shocked everybody. So that's a really good War Games. I don't know where they'll list this on here.
Ryan, are you around? I don't know if Ryan's there. Maybe you can tell us about where that one's ranked in the countdown. Ryan, can you give us a number? Maybe within 5 of where it's at. You have to give it away, but
top coming up soon. No spoilers, boys.
Top third, middle third, bottom third. We're trying to get a gauge for.
They're gonna go Southern boy wrestling for the top
mid-teens.
Yeah,
mid-teens. So that one is also not highly ranked. So I don't know what people are looking for in War Games.
So there was that one when Hogan wasn't in the next one. It was when Kurt Hennig joined the NWO and smashed Flair's head with the cage. That was kind of cool. I don't know
if maybe some of the older ones will be high up. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But that's what we did here. Up to this point, we'll kind of end on this. Up to this point, what were your thoughts on Hulk and WCW?
I loved it. Loved it. Yeah.
It was good for you.
Perfect. Yep.
Perfect.
No complaints. No complaints here. I think it was a little bit overexposed on Nitro sometimes because he wasn't that kind of wrestler. I don't think any wrestler should be overexposed. It's a problem with the business today. Been the problem with the business the past 20 years. Overexposure. So Hogan maybe would be good for a backstage interview with Gene and stuff on the Nitros, but they needed to fill up these bigger arenas that they were doing, and it was turned into more about ratings competition than just, what it was when it was just a WWF on top and everybody else was way down. You know what I mean? Like it didn't matter back then. So you could keep your star, hold them back, make them special. So a little bit of overexposure, but I was always happy to see him. And the NWO was just, it was on fire. It created part of me. I'm outside signing 50 autographs on Halloween yesterday, and I'm in the 24-inch podcast on it. Right
nice.
Kearney, New Jersey. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Look at it. I'll give you some positives and negatives, and we'll finish up. They really loaded the star power. It's great to see Hogan, Savage, Luger, Sting, even Kamala. There's big stars in this match, and they made it feel big. As they were doing the introductions, so I was listening to Tony and Bobby talk about it, the video packages they put together. They made it feel like a big deal, like a big match. I really, as it was getting ready to start, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Unfortunately, as one of those guys says in the podcast, the bell had a ring, right? And the bell did ring on this match. And there wasn't much in between the bells, but I thought the hype was really good. I hate the format. War Games is just ridiculously stupid.
Not really.
They're flipping coins. Like I said, they're setting up this thing where the bad guys are on a power play every 2 minutes.
I think they should. If I was booking it, I would have had the Giant on the opposite team, but just as him and Hogan come in last, somebody cuts Hogan off, like Orndorff cut him off going after Andre in the WrestleMania 3 the Battle Royal on Saturday Night's main event before WrestleMania 3. Maybe have Sullivan cut him off so that he doesn't get at the Giant yet. A little more of Hulk trying to get at the Giant and get cut off instead of the way they did it. The Halloween Havoc, most of the marks they hate that too, but that's going to be fun to cover that one with the monster truck battle and the Giant falls off Cobo Hall and rises from the dead. Remember, this is entertainment, and it's very entertaining. Like so bad it's good.
Like I said, we probably won't cover this on the 24-inch podcast, but it was fun. Thanks to Ryan. Again, one thing we do on the 24-inch podcast, this is the last thing, is we usually rate Hulk matches relative to Hulk matches. So our scale is 1 to 5, with 5 being WrestleMania 3 or whatever you think the best Hulk match is, and 0 being, whatever you think the worst Hulk match is, and everything in between. To me, this is about a 2.
I always copy what you say, but I really swear to God I was thinking that.
Yeah.
But so I guess I'll go 2.5 then.
Yeah, to me, it's about a 2, and I'm giving it mostly on star power, the energy in the building, the way they built to it, the negatives are just the wrestling stinks, the format's stupid, and they make Hulk look bad by basically him standing on the outside of the ring the whole time, telling his buddies to go in there and get their ass beat.
Right. Instead of having like some strategy, Macho holding him back with
some reason why.
Yeah.
Give me some reason why Hulk is going in last.
Yeah.
He's clearly their best guy, right? So
right.
I thought that was really bad. But all right, I think that's all we have to do today, Dave. Thanks to Ryan for having us. And between now and then, the only thing I guess left, Dave, is to tell everyone to say their prayers, eat their vitamins, and tell their friends about the 24-inch podcast.
Trick or treat, brother.